Tom, welcome back for part 2 at bugeyeguy.com. This is your car that you've had since '62, you said?
Since 1961 I bought it.
It was 61, okay.
No, 1960. Yeah, 61.
61, okay. And so it's a very original car that you you took your son to the hospital in and even drove around with him in a laundry basket, which is awesome.
Yeah.
In the trunk.
Yeah,
But
my son wasn't born at the point that he went to the hospital in it. He was inside of my wife at that point.
she was in labor, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so in terms of do you remember changing anything in this car? Because, for example, like you have the original rubber floor mat here. I'll get out of the sun. This tunnel piece is super rare, so that's a very special thing. Can you recall anything that you changed as you've had this car? Any mods that you made?
Yes, the ignition switch is not original.
Oh, yeah.
And we had...
Hang on, though. I'm guessing you'd like us to restore that back to the correct type, or is...
Not necessarily. What's in there works well, and the button up there is a starter button.
Okay. And that's okay with you to leave that? Because we can, or we can put in the original type.
Well, it's part of the history of the car, so why not leave it?
Very good. Yeah, good. Why not? Okay.
And it works.
But we will change that shift gasket.
That needs to work.
Yeah, that's easy. Anything else that you can recall? I mean, you've got the rubber mat in front of your cross member here, and the rubber mat...
That was changed when I was in Germany. The first one gave out, and so I did replace it there, and you can still get them at that point. And so we did it. It's beginning to wear itself now, but I guess it's relatively good.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So it made it from 1964. This is your Holliston Park Department permit from 1970. That's got to stay there. That's really cool. And 1971 spring inspection from Massachusetts.
That's the last time it was registered in Mass, I think.
Oh, that's great.
I think I did have it registered briefly. Along about that time, our family had grown and we needed larger vehicles, and I couldn't afford to register this as well, and so we parked it in New Hampshire in a barn. And ultimately, we moved to a larger house in Massachusetts, and I brought it home again, and I think I registered it then. That would have been around mid to late 70s, I think. But other than that, it's not been registered or driven.
And it was pretty much the clutch and economics that stopped you? I mean,
yeah, the clutch died. We did have the car repainted, and I was going to do more restoration, but time never permitted me to really get into it. And so it's sad for a long time. I had it repainted, and I think it must have been about the mid-80s.
And you figured once it was painted, you'd get motivated to fix the clutch, or?
Yeah. And I never got to it, and so it's never been on the road since then.
Yeah, well, that's exciting because we'll make it into a wonderful driving car. Under the hood here, can you remember anything in particular that happened through the years? Your master cylinder must have started leaking, so I see that's been removed. But
I started to do some brake work on the car. I have a cylinder hone for brakes, and I redid the brakes. You can still get rubber rebuild kits at that point. And so I did that on the front brakes, and on the rear brakes it's a little more difficult because of problems getting the cylinders out of the wheels. I think you got to remove the axles or something to do it.
Well, yeah, yeah, we do it all the time, so we'll get that going. The rear wheel cylinders were leaking probably, huh?
Yeah. But that's as far as I got on any additional work on the car.
Well, it's a fantastic car, and it's really exciting to see. It's wonderful to have a chance to bring it back to life, and I'm looking forward to getting some new photos of you driving it again after 71, right? So we have 29 and 15, 39, 44 years since you got to drive this car. So we'll make sure we'll get some pictures of the maiden voyage once you come back.
Okay.
Thank you so much for bringing this car to Bugeye Guy.
Sounds good to me.